Hey friends, welcome to today's episode. Today we'll talk about SOAR or Security Orchestration Automation and Response. Uh, this platform, which is quite popular in the SOC world today, uh, essentially combines incident response, orchestration, automation, and threat intelligence management capabilities in a single product. Okay. Now, before I talk more about SOAR, we have to understand what how SOC operate typically, right? The security operations center, typically whenever there's an incident, the incident response is manual in nature. So an analyst who's working in the SOC would investigate the incident by logging into multiple tools, and again everything is has to follow typical incident response procedure. So let's take an example of a very simple scenario where uh, a platform, a SIM platform, which is one of the common sources for incident, uh, raises an alert which says, "Hey, Prashant's machine is communicating with a bad domain." Now, bad domain is defined by threat intelligence, and then after that incident is triggered, or the alert is seen in the SIM platform, some analysts will typically investigate what is that bad domain all about, what is the history of that bad domain, are any other employees in the organization talking with the same bad domain. Then in it would also mean fetching information specific to the user. So who's Prashant, who's his manager, is he actually in office, where is he located right now, what kind of access does he have, and what happened after uh, the domain was accessed, right? So all this response, all these steps or workflows, they are typically defined based on the incident categories, and for that a SOC has to be quite mature. So typically SOCs will have SOPs or standard operating procedures for all the standard known threats. Okay. Now in the pre-SOAR era, or look, or organizations that don't use SOAR, this entire response process is manual in nature. So analysts would log into multiple tools, find the information as defined in the workflows or SOPs, and work on the incident to its closure. Okay. Now this often leads to mundane tasks. So analysts are always doing the same things for same category of incidents, often because of false positive and multiple incidents triggering in the same, which are of the same category, sometimes duplicate incidents. All this leads to alert fatigue. Okay. And then of course SOCs are always struggling to get the right skill set, which is a problem in our industry now. So what the SOAR platform or SOAR software does is it helps you carry out the SOC specific process using automation. So the key use cases it addresses are incident response, orchestration and automation, and threat intelligence management. So all these technologies that were getting developed uh, as parallel platforms in a different period of time, few years back, uh, SOAR consolidates all these three platforms. So SIRPs, which is Security Incident Response Platform, SOA, Security Orchestration and Automation, and Threat Intelligence Platform, or TIP, or some people call it TIM. Okay, so SIRP focuses on case and incident management. So how incident would be handled, workflow. So what steps needs to be taken, incident knowledge base. Okay, I've been worked on the incident. How do I use that knowledge to ensure that the same incident is not repeated again, or we handle it better? Then SOA is security orchestration and automation. That's all about orchestrating using incidents with using integrations with other platforms or other tools in the environment, building playbooks or automation workflows. So essentially, instead of uh, doing log into AD, finding out who the user Prashant is, who his manager is, the platform will do an integration. The SOAR platform will do an integration, and a command has to be executed which will automatically do that job. So there's no need for analysts to log into that third-party product. And then playbook management, which playbooks are getting used, creating those playbooks, etc. Threat intelligence platform, which is all about threat intelligence aggregation, curation, distribution, and enrichment and visualization, essentially how indicators are related to each other. So a SOAR platform essentially addresses these key use cases. Okay. Now, when you deploy SOAR, which is typically a software or now available as a SaaS by multiple companies, you start with integrations with various alert sources like a SIM platform or an EDR platform, etc. Then what you do is you start automating workflows for all SOPs that you have already defined. Okay, so you will create playbooks for all these standard use cases. A simple thing like data enrichment, same example that I gave earlier, is when there is an incident of a category called, let's say, command and control, which I talked about. End user machine is found to be communicating to a known bad domain. So as steps like looking up who the user is he in office, where is he located, what was the last time he did login. So these 4-5 steps are involved in the user specific enrichment. The another enrichment category would be threat intelligence or target domain. So what is that this domain? Is anybody else trying to log into this domain? Any past communication that has happened in last 30 days or so? Has this, who's using this domain, is where is it hosted, where is it located, has this domain in the past used for a attack? All these things, all these lookups, 7 or 8, essentially if you look at this, there are 15 steps. If somebody is doing that lookup manually, SOC, it takes hours, it can sometimes take days depending on the organization. So SOAR platform helps you automate all this, so which means you can build a playbook, and anytime that an incident category is hit, command and control, these steps will be automatically executed. The execution is done using APIs. So whenever you're onboarding a new product or a product which is already there, an API based integration is done, and all these commands which are typically available through APIs are carried out. Okay? So SOAR has a playbook engine or a workflow engine. And then dashboards and reports, which essentially help you track how SOC is improving, how the processes are getting automated, is the time to resolve the incident getting less or more, how many incidents are getting automatically closed by the system, the source system, or manually by the analyst, with the objective that eventually SOAR platforms should be able to close more incidents than humans. Remember, alert fatigue. We don't want humans to get tired of working on the same type of incidents day in and day out. Okay, so why is the SOAR platform needed? As you would have guessed by now, it helps you improve security operations by automatically handling incidents which are redundant in nature, which can be done automatically. It also brings more consistency in the security processes by executing a known repeatable procedure. It helps you improve threat prevention, detection and response. It helps you prioritize those incidents. So prioritization can be done by doing lookups on various enrichment categories like type of user. Again, going back to same example, if the same category of activities is repeated for a highly valuable target like a senior exec, your prioritization of incident could be severe, whereas for a regular employee it could be medium or low, right? It can help you operationalize threat intelligence. So threat intelligence can be now proactively used for threat hunting, for distribution, sharing information proactively. Now, the platforms are available both as a software, as in a SaaS and on-premise format, and also as a service by MDR providers. So a lot of service providers, especially managed security service providers and managed detection response provider, offer playbook as a service, automation as a service, where they can bring the platform, include the best practices, including specific content that they have created with their experience and knowledge. They help you establish SOPs and then build playbooks for you. So those options are now available. Now, how do they work? So once you have the SOAR platform deployed, you can you start by consuming one of the sources, at least one of the sources for alert. The new build use cases I've said earlier, you start assigning the incidents based on the category of incident, the skill set of users in the SOC, etc. And then all the learnings are updated in the knowledge base of the incident. Okay. Now, what are the challenges in the adoption of SOAR? Lack of standard procedures for incident response. So organizations that haven't defined any workflows for manual incident response, they are not well suited to define SOAR. So if you are looking to adopt SOAR, make sure that you have at least workflows or SOPs defined for common incident categories like ransomware, phishing, anything that your organization sees day in and day out. You start with low hanging fruits, which is automate the most commonly occurring incidents, followed by more complex incidents. Okay. Then the another challenge could be no KPI used by SOC teams to track improvement in the SOC processes. So if your SOC teams are not tracking a simple metric like time to resolve, mean time to resolve over months and years, SOARs can't help you, right? SOARs helps you automate all that. Then lack of skill set in cybersecurity, SIM, SOAR technology. These are obvious guesses. And the last one would be lack of APIs from vendors that are being used in the company. So although most popular vendors, most commonly used vendors provide APIs, but some of the vendors don't provide APIs for everything. So example, there might not be any API to look at where the user is present. If there is no system like a physical card access system that doesn't have an API about users' physical presence in a building. Okay, so those things could be challenge. Now, the last thing I want to discuss is the key trends that I've noticed in last few years. One is when I started working on SOAR in 2017, if I remember correctly, you have to be very familiar in Python coding. Today, most of the SOAR platforms have low-code features, which means you can use wizards to drag and drop specific actions or a specific task. You don't need to learn Python, although of course coding helps. There might not be a task for everything. Then the SIM and the XDR vendors have built integrations with the most common SOAR platforms because they want to ensure customers can use their platform effectively. Another thing which is where vendors are going is SIM and XDR vendors are providing SOAR as a inbuilt capability. They are bundling it or they are doing acquisitions. Last few years, multiple acquisitions have been done in this side because the detection vendors, which is the XDR and SIM vendors, they understand that for effective usage of their platforms, the automation, the response process has to be automated. Okay, so in future, what I'm expecting is SOAR becoming part of XDR itself. So wherever you are defining the detection logic, there is an option available, or there would be an option available where you can map the incident response, the incident detection logic with incident response playbook that you have created. So a one-to-one mapping would be there. This is already happening. A lot of companies are working on it, with that, thank you so much. I'll see you next time.